Hi, thank you for having me. So this paper is together with Lynn Prince-Cook, who is also the principal investigator of the project New Abstract, which this study is a part of. It's titled Cumulative Wage Effects of Household Division of Labour in the UK. So the gender wage gap in the UK is about 15.5% in 2020, and among full-time employees, it's about 7.5%. One explanation that is often given in the literature is the division of labor within a couple, namely whether they are specialized or unspecialized. So the division of labor of paid and unpaid work. But when other studies investigate this theory, they often test only the individual's labor, so how much housework they do, or how many hours they are employed. So, for instance, previous literature has found that the more housework women do, the lower their wages are, whereas evidence for men is more mixed. And the partner's employment also is shown to be related to wages, namely that men's wages are higher when the partner is not employed. There are fewer tests about the division of housework and wages. British evidence indicates that men's wages are higher when women are responsible for more domestic tasks, but this evidence is more mixed among US studies. And often these previous studies don't include both paid and unpaid work. So whereas that is a key concept of specialization. So we asked the research question, do household divisions of paid and unpaid work affect partnered UK women and men's wages as predicted by specialization theories? But then additionally, we ask, how does these specialization premiums or penalties develop over the course of the relationship? And do these possible associations between division of labor differ for lower earning or higher earning people? So household specialization theory derives from human capital theories. Human capital theories that education and experience accumulate especially experience accumulate over time. And this higher human capital results in better wages and wage growth. Household specialization theory indicates that it's not only the experience in paid work, but also what happens at home. So the division of work between partners and how much housework, for instance, people do. Specialization, as I said before, is dyadic. It incorporates both partners' contribution to paid and unpaid work. And household utility is and efficiency is maximized when one partner specializes in paid and the other in unpaid work. And then time spent on housework or childcare distracts from available effort and energy that people can put in their employment, resulting in a possible lower wage growth. And because human capital accumulates, when people are more specialized, and they are the ones specializing in, for instance, paid labor, they would reap more benefits of this over time because specialization the experience accumulates. And in the same vein, penalties may be higher the longer people are in a specialized division of labor if they specialize in unpaid labor. Additionally, norms about what is an ideal worker differ over the wage distribution, and this might affect how the division of labor is related to wages. So the ideal worker is ever present or available for work, and he or she prioritizes paid work over family work. And this person might receive higher wages and more opportunities for career advancements because they are just dedicated to work in that way. This norm is especially strong for white-collar workers, high earners, and particularly men. And therefore, both the wage benefits and wage penalties of specialization should be greater among higher earning women, but especially higher earning men. So we use the BHPS and UKHLS data for this, and we focus on co-residential couples, so couples who live together, who are aged 20 to 45 and who are not students. To be included, they further have to be an employee at the start of the relationship and at the interview, and they have had to have been living together for 10 years or less. Importantly, we need to observe them in the first year of their relationship, because we want to include wages at the start of the relationship. And they need to have participated in 2 subsequent waves in the next 10 years of the relationship. For instance, year 5 and year 6 of the relationship. And we deal with missing values with multiple imputation of independent variables. And in total, we have about 22,000 observations of about 6,000 individuals, roughly half and half men and women. So our dependent variable is hourly wage at time t n plus 1. And this is deflated by consumer price index. And the controls that we include and our main independent variable division of work, which I will show later, are measured at time n. So for instance, hourly wage is at the 6th year of the relationship, while controls are at the 5th year of the relationship. We control for relationship duration, work experience, educational level, total hours housework by the couple, age, marital status, number of independent children living in the household, and whether it's a first or higher order union. And as I mentioned before, we also control for wage at the start of the relationship. So our key independent variable is the division of labor. This is 6 categories based on both partners' employment status and their division of housework, employment status being full-time employed, part-time employed, or not employed, while the division of housework is measured by which partner does most of 4 routine household chores: grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning, and washing and ironing. And then in the end, we come to 6 divisions of work. So in the male sample, well, for both samples, these are male single earner, female homemaker. Note that in the female sample, this is 0% because we focus on employees, and when women are the homemaker, they are not employees, so they are excluded. The second category is male full-time worker, where the woman is working part-time in modified male breadwinner model. Then we have 3 full-time workers, but dual full-time worker couples, but these differ in who does the housework. So the yellow is dual full-time, but women does all housework. Or then we have in green dual full-time, but women does most of the housework. And lastly, dual full-time workers for housework shared equally, which will be the reference in our next analyses. And lastly, we have the couples where men work part-time or are not employed. So for the analytical strategy, we use unconditional quantile regression. And the good thing is that this allows estimating the effects across the wage distribution. So we can have the effects for the, well, in our case, the 20th wage percentile, the 50th, and the 80th wage percentile to see how the division of labor might have a different effect across the wage distribution. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of the methods, but it's a 2-step procedure where first the recentered influence function, or RIF, is estimated to create a transformed dependent variable, which is then analyzed with different type of regressions. So as I mentioned before, the dependent variable is hourly wage at wave Tn+1, for instance, year 6 of the relationship. Then the independent variable is at wave Tn, so 1 year before that, and then we control for the wage at the start of the relationship, and we cluster errors by individuals because we have multiple observations of individuals. And to get at this accumulation of specialization, we interact relationship duration with divisions of household labor as a sort of indication of how specialization might differ over the course of the relationship and might have accumulating benefits for the longer people are together. So first, the results for men. Here in the left panel, you see the 20th results for the 20th percentile. And compared to dual full-time workers where houseworkers share equally, these lower wage men also have a lower wage, have a lower wage when the male is a single earner, and his partner is a homemaker. Whereas the other dual full-time workers don't differ significantly from that. And then the median, the 50th percentile and 80th percentile, men actually have a wage premium when they are either the single earner and their partner is a homemaker, or when it's a 1.5 earner couple where he is full-time employed and she part-time. So median and high wage men seem to benefit when their partner does not work full-time, but low wage men are predicted to suffer a wage penalty when the partner is not employed. Then for women, so if you look at the bottom, you can see that across the wage distribution, when she is working part-time and her partner is working full-time, she's expected to have a lower wage compared to dual full-time workers, where houseworkers share equally. But among the highest wage women in the 80th percentile, they also suffer a wage penalty when both partners are full-time employed, but she does all of the housework. This is compared to when they both share housework equally. Then how does this differ over the course of the relationship? Well, there are very few significant differences. So these plots are the differences that are significant over the slope of the relationship duration is significant in that way. So among the lowest wage men, the 20th percentile, single earning men have a higher wage growth compared to dual full-time working men. But they start out lower and by the end they are not statistically different, like later in the relationship. Among the highest earning men, so the middle graph, male single earners have a higher wage growth compared to dual full-time workers where houseworkers share equally. And then lastly, among lower earning women working part-time, they have a relatively high wage growth over time, but they until later in the relationship, they consistently have a lower wage than dual full-time workers. So overall, no evidence for accumulating wage penalties for household division for women, and there is some limited evidence among both low but especially high earning men that they might have a higher wage growth and accumulating premiums from a more specialized division of labor. So in conclusion, median and high earning men seem to benefit from household specialization, and specialization benefits are mostly restricted to the division of paid labor, not necessarily the division of housework. And actually the benefits are limited to the most extremes of specialization, namely compared to people who divide both paid work and housework equally, those who divide it very traditional in this way, where the man is either not employed, the female partner is not employed or is part-time employed. These significantly differ, but the middle seems less so. And there is some indication of accumulating benefits of specialization among low but especially high earning men. In contrast, women's wages seem to be hurt by specialization, specifically hurt by working part-time across the wage distribution. And additionally, among these highest earning women, they also suffer a lower wage. They also have a lower wage when they are responsible for all housework compared to sharing the housework equally when both are working full-time. Thank you. And for more information about the new Fenster project, see also the website. Thank you.